Welcome. Welcome to Olympia Brown Unitarian Universalist Church. I am the Reverend Danielle Lindstrom. My pronouns are she, her, hers. It is a joy to be together this morning. You are welcome here. Our mission as a church is to be a community of hope, challenging us to transform ourselves, promote love and justice, respect all faiths, and shepherd our planet. As we gather, may we make space for all that we bring each time we come together, for this is one of the promises of our faith tradition. All of who you are is welcome in our co-created and shared sacred space. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is good to be together.
I'm a little bit bigger than Danielle. I don't quite fit in here. All right. Today is a multi-generational service, and we hope that all will stay to take part in this service. Though we do have childcare downstairs, we are thankful for the people that agreed to help to make this play come alive. We are going to need some more people. I see 2 lizards in the crowd back there. I think I need 3 more lizards. If there are people that would like to be part of our play, I need 3 more lizards, and I need some mice, too. We're doing Cinderella, and this is not just for children, all of you adults sitting there thinking, oh, thank goodness I don't have to put a headband on. For you, I need mice, and I need lizards. And this is the Cinderella story reimagined. So the mice are going to turn into horses for the carriage. You know, the pumpkin turns into a carriage. And so when it's your time to turn into horses, I will be giving you horse headbands, and you'll change your mice into horses. And the lizards become the coach people, which we're calling servants because it's easier than saying coach people. And so they then, when they switch, they get little top hats. So if you start out as lizard, you're going to be coach servants with top hats, and if you start out with mice, you're going to be horses, okay? And I will hand those to you in the front, so you don't have to worry about that. So are we all still? Great. So when it's time, when you're going to have to listen, you lizards and mice, because when Reverend Danielle is telling the story, she'll say something like, and Cinderella went out and got the mice, and then you need to come forward. Or she went out and got the lizards, and then you need to come forward. Got it? Yeah. All right. The rest of you are going to participate as well. And there's going to come a time when Prince Nevermind, he is over here in the front, he's going to come up to people in the congregation, and he's going to ask questions. But we don't want just those people to answer the question. We want all of you to answer the question. And the answer is no. Good. Can you tell we've been practicing? So the answer is no. So everybody, say with me. No! Okay. So you're all going to be part of this play. So our opening words, as we light the chalice, come to us from the poet Nairia Wahid. No might make them angry, but it will make you free. If no one has ever told you, your freedom is more important than your anger. So now we need Cinderella, the 2 oppressed stepsisters, the stepmother to come forward and take their places. So perhaps you know a story like this one. Like I said, this is Cinderella reimagined. And you know this story where poor Cinderella has her name from those burning cinder pieces that make holes in her raggedy dress and is mistreated by her stepmother, who favors her own 2 birth daughters. Perhaps you know a story like this one, but not quite to this one, which has been adapted from Rebecca Solnit's book, Cinderella Liberator, published in 2019. Let's see what this one teaches us about liberation, as well as about beauty, courage, consent, friendship, and finding one's purpose.
Cinderella lives with her stepmother and two stepsisters. Her father has been gone a long while, and no one is sure when he will return. Cinderella can barely remember her own mother, who has been gone even longer. She works all day in the kitchen of her home, where she lives. For her stepmother believed that there is not enough for everyone, and that if Cinderella gets something, then her own daughters won't. Her daughters, Perlita and Paloma. Nobody asked what Cinderella wanted. Nobody asked what Perlita and Paloma wanted either. In time, Cinderella, as she worked hard cooking and baking and cleaning and serving, Cinderella got to know everyone in the marketplace and on nearby farms. She grew strong and capable. One day, alone in the kitchen, she could be heard to say,
I have become quite a good cook, if I do say so myself, and I bake some of the best cakes and loaves in the neighborhood.
Perlita and Paloma were always stuck upstairs, trying on clothes because their mother believed that the people in town were not fancy enough for them.
I feel stuck. Me too.
And while Cinderella was sad, sometimes there were other times when she was happy as well, for she got to see more of the world and meet other people, including playing with dogs and climbing fences. One day news came that Prince Nevermind was putting on a big dance party. Cinderella's stepmother made sure that Perlita and Paloma were invited, but not Cinderella. She had to serve her stepsisters cookies as they dreamed and planned for the big dance.
Having the tallest hair in the world will make me feel the most beautiful, and it will make me happy forever.
Having the fanciest dress in the world will make me the most beautiful woman at the dance party. Having the fanciest dress, having the fanciest clothes will make me happy forever.
In fact, they weren't very happy. They were worried that someone might have higher hair, or more bows, or a longer dress. Which probably someone did. Someone usually does. But there isn't actually a most beautiful person in the world, because there are so many kinds of beauty. Some people love roundness and softness, and other people love sharp edges and strong muscles. And some people like thick hair like a lion's mane. Some like thin hair that pours down like a waterfall. Some people love someone so much they forget what they look like. Some people think that the night sky is most beautiful when it is full of stars. But some people think it's the forest in the snow when you cannot see the stars, but the trees are laced in snow. That is the most beautiful thing in the world. There are a lot of ideas of beauty and love. When you love someone a lot, they look like love.
What a beautiful reflection on the nature of beauty. Here's another meditation on beauty that comes to us from Karen G. Johnston. What to do with beauty? or joy, for that matter. In the midst of tragedy, of violence, of cruelty, what do we do with the living? Give each their due. Do not lose ourselves in any of it, but find ourselves anew. When there is beauty, amplify it. Where beauty is hidden, reveal it. Where beauty is ruined, restore it. Where beauty is absent, create it. This will be our gift to our aching world. Now let us sing a hymn that affirms the beauty in all, especially in those who are sometimes told by voices, sometimes outside themselves, sometimes inside themselves, that they are not beautiful. These voices are strong. Let us rise, embody your spirit, and sing How Could Anyone, which is number 1053 in the Teal hymnal.
Can you say we're going to sing it 2 times?
We're going to sing it twice through. We're going to sing it twice through.
On the day of the great dance party, Cinderella helped Perlita and Paloma pile up their hair with ornaments and put on their fanciest dresses, which were so long and tight they couldn't run after a dog or climb a fence. Off to the party they went. Off to the party they went. Cinderella went to the kitchen, which was very quiet. She sat by the fire, feeling sad and crying.
I wish somebody would help me.
Oh, she wished, and 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 she wished. She longed, and she hoped, and she was ready. She wished. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. She opened the big creaky door, and a little woman was standing on the doorstep. She wore a big skirt that she was putting on as we spoke. She wore a big skirt and a pointed hat.
May I help you?
I came to help you. I am your fairy godmother. You wish to go to the dance party at the castle. Is that so?
Yes.
And then you shall go. You need a ride. Run into the pumpkin patch and get a pumpkin.
Not completely sure why she was doing it, Cinderella ran out into the night and picked a big orange pumpkin from the garden, as heavy as she could lift. The fairy godmother waved her wand, and the pumpkin became a glass coach that glittered in the moonlight. Cinderella sighed and thought to herself,
You can't have a coach without horses.
It was as if her godmother had heard her thoughts, for then she said,
Get me 6 mice from the trap.
Mice, mice, mice. Mice, mice, mice. Cinderella wondered what this strange woman had in mind. But she did what she was told. The trap was just a box she kept in the kitchen. The mice walked into it because they smelled cheese inside. They would be trapped, and then Cinderella would take them walking down to the river, where she would let them free. But she couldn't let them nibble at her cakes and cookies. The fairy godmother waved her wand. The tiny legs and round bodies and long hairless tails of the mice began to change. All of a sudden, instead of little gray mice, they were large, dapple gray horses with the same round black eyes that the mice had. Cinderella was astonished.
Now we need a coachman.
I shall get the rat from the rat trap.
I bet you can't guess what happens next. Cinderella came back with a rat in no time. With a wave of her magic wand, the fairy godmother turned the rat coach into a coachman with a beautiful black hat.
Good evening, young lady.
6 lizards from the garden.
With the wave of the wand, those 6 lizards were 6 servants, dressed in satin hats, who set to work to hitch the horses to the carriage. Cinderella wondered to herself,
Did the lizards want to be servants? Did they want to be helpers who stood at the front and back of an old-fashioned carriage looking busy and formal?
again as if she had read Cinderella's mind.
They are here to help you because you have always been kind to the mice and the rats, and you never put out poison for them or traps to hurt them, and you always smiled and said hello to the lizards when you went out to pick some lettuce or raspberries.
The coach is amazing, but I cannot go in my rags.
What rags?
Ones I'm putting on right now.
Cinderella found herself spinning, and when she stopped, she looked down to discover she was wearing the most beautiful purple dress. And before Cinderella could say that she was still barefoot, the wand was waved one more time. And on Cinderella's feet, which were actually in her hands, were slippers made of the same glass as the pumpkin carriage. They were not very comfortable, but they did look special indeed. And soon the carriage, our servants and mice, if you could go, our servants and horses, if you could go down the center aisle leading the carriage away. The carriage, along with Cinderella, was off to the dance. When Cinderella arrived in her special carriage, no one questioned who the late guest was. Cinderella began dancing nearly straight away, having learned to dance in the market square and at the harvest festival, and by watching her stepsisters' dancing lessons, and sometimes by dancing in the kitchen by herself, and sometimes with the boy who delivered the mail, and sometimes with a girl who knocked on the door and delivered the newspaper. She danced with so many people to so much beautiful music that resounded through the air. With so many people, including Prince Nevermind. Round and round and round, they had so much fun. When the music stopped, they talked happily with each other.
I really enjoyed dancing with you. I've never seen you before. I'm wondering who you are.
Cinderella became afraid that he might laugh at her because she hadn't been invited. So she ran, and as she did, her shoes came off. She was able to keep one on her foot as she made her getaway, but the other was left behind. Barefoot into the night, she jumped into her coach, and the servants called to the horses, and the servants joined her, who jumped into place. The horses galloped off, and they were home before they knew it.
Okay, all our coaches, our servants, and horses can go back to their seats.
Thanks for the getaway.
It does seem that Cinderella is in a bit of a dilemma. I don't think that she'll be able to go it alone. For our time of prayer and shared stillness, let us meditate on this poem from Hafiz that reminds us that in order to get free, we need each other. Out of great need, we are all holding hands and climbing. Not loving is a letting go. Listen, the terrain around here is far too dangerous for that. Let us respond with singing Spirit of Life.
If we can have Cinderella and our horses and our servants come on up to the front.
Did you have a good time at the dance party?
Yes and no. It was very interesting to see all the fancy clothes and the fancy plates with the fancy cakes and the fancy mirrors and the fancy lights. It was even more interesting to see lizards become servants and mice become horses.
True magic is to help a thing become its best and most free self.
And then she went over to the horses and asked,
Do you want to be horses from now on? Or would you like to return to being mice?
5 of the horses said, in horse language, which Fairy Godmother did speak, and most of us do not, that they loved running through the night and being afraid of nothing and being bigger than almost everyone else. They loved being horses. But one mouse,
I had so much fun, but I had nice children at home, and I want to get back to them. I so do look forward to telling them stories of my enchanted evening.
the fairy godmother nodded in understanding, and the 6th horse became a mouse. Running back to her children and the nest in the wall, the rest of our horses decided to stay horses, and they ran free into the night. Although one of our servants / lizards seems to be joining the horses. Come back! Come back! The fairy godmother asked the same of the lizards, all of whom agreed that it had been very agreeable, a very interesting evening, but they would rather return to their former selves. And so the fairy godmother turned our servants back to lizards. And our Ronin lizard shared this with us.
We are pleased to return to being lizards. Our lives are so good on sunny days when we get to snap up flies in the garden.
And so the lizards ran to go and get their flies in the garden.
Although I am very happy to return to being a mice, I can have many delicious rat adventures, but I can have even more as a coachman, and that I want to stay like this.
And so he stayed in his form and went out into the night. Not long after all of this excitement, Cinderella found herself alone, back in her patchwork dress, in which she could do things she very much enjoyed, playing with dogs, climbing the walnut trees, making the messiest cakes, garden where the lizards sunned themselves. For a moment, she thought she might have imagined it all, until she felt in her pocket something strange, that glass slipper. And with that, we are welcomed into our time of gratitude.
With gratitude for the chance to find one's true self, with gratitude for the chance to choose, with gratitude for those who help to liberate us in times of need, we give and receive our offering. And at this time, the horses and lizards can go back to their seats.
And the mouse.
And the mouse, yes. Go ahead. And as the oppressed stepsisters come forward, I'm going to tell you about our offertory outreach partner for this. There are many ways to give to the life of this church, and the monetary offering is just one of these ways. Each month we partner with a local organization, share the money gathered. If you're in the sanctuary, you may add your collection to the red box in our welcome table. Please see our website, obuc.org, for ways to donate online. Our partner for October is Racine Vocational Ministry. Their primary focus is on the homeless, those returning from prison, and those who've been chronically out of work. It is their goal to assist people in appreciating their intrinsic worth and learning how to use their knowledge to build meaningful relationships in the circles of family, friends, and employment. Thank you for your continued generosity. And now on with the play.
Prince Nevermind was a very polite person. He was sad he had frightened his guest and that she had lost her shoe. He asked everyone he knew, but no one around seemed to know who the guest was. Then he went all around, knocking on doors, asking if the person who wore the shoe was there. I'm guessing you remember how each of these people responded. No!
Do you know the person who owns this glass slipper?
No! Said the people in the big brick house by the river.
Do you know the person who owns this glass slipper?
Said the people in the gray mansion on the hill.
Do you know the person who owns this glass slipper?
Said the people in the tower next to the woods.
Do you know the person who owns this glass slipper?
Said the farmer whose golden fields spread on and on beyond their fine farmhouse.
Do you know the person who owns this glass slipper?
No! Said the clockmaker who lived in the little house full of ticking clocks.
I'm running. Do you know the person who owns this glass slipper?
No! Said the painter in the house full of pictures and animals and places you only see in your dreams and paintings.
Do you know the person who owns this glass slipper?
No! Said the dancing teacher in their house full of music.
Do you know the person who owns this glass slipper?
No!
Can I try it on?
Said the blacksmith as they worked iron in the forge.
Do you know the person who owns this glass slipper?
Said the bird doctor as they fixed a sparrow's wing.
Do you know the person who owns this glass slipper?
No, said the rat turned coach person. Then the prince came to Cinderella's house. Her stepmother answered the door. She was greedy to see her daughters become friends with the prince, so she lied. She lied.
Yes, that glass slipper belongs to one of my beautiful daughters.
The prince knelt down in front of them, first Perlita, then Paloma, who both tried to try on the shoe, but their feet were too small. Because when you sit at home all day and never run to the river or carry a full basket from the market, your feet don't grow as strong as they should. Cinderella arrived in the parlor bringing tea and cake when she saw the prince. All at once, tired from so many things, of being in the kitchen, of not being at the table, of feeling like she was less important than her stepsisters, of not being invited to parties, she said, much to everyone's surprise,
Hey, it's my shoe.
The two stepsisters ran out of the room with their stepmother following them. Embarrassed, ashamed, we've been found out. Their mother had always told them that there was not enough for everybody, and that they needed to take things from other people to have enough for themselves, which is not true. There is always enough for everyone if you share it properly, or if it has been shared properly before you got there. There is enough food, there is enough love, enough homes, enough time, enough crayons, enough people to be friends with each other. The prince asked kindly, and Cinderella explained that she had been the girl who danced at the party and ran away, afraid to be embarrassed or not included, and sent away. As if out of nowhere, the fairy godmother appeared and got the attention of both Cinderella and Prince Nevermind and said these words that she hopes you are listening to as well.
Nobody is good or valuable because of who their parents are, or bad because their parents are bad. They are good and valuable as they are in their own words and deeds. And if you are kind to mice and bake splendid cakes and have a heart full of hopes and dreams.
What are your dreams?
I would like to own my own cake shop. And I would like to be free to go and see the people on all the farms who raise the food I cook. And I would like to ride the dapple gray horses. And I would like to see my mother come sailing into the bay on a fine ship. What about your dreams?
I sometimes wish I was not a prince, so I could not have people staring at me all the time and wondering why I have so much when they have not enough. I would like to wear the clothes the farm boys wear, so I could play without someone shouting that I will get my trousers dirty. I would like to get dirty sometimes. I would like to be free to wander the hills all alone. I'd run away from my guards to find out who lost the shoe. I would like to learn how to make things and work so hard I sleep deeply all night instead of doing nothing in the castle. I would like to have friends. Nobody is friends with a prince.
I would like to have friends, but I really don't have the time.
Not all magic needs me. Perhaps you two are friends.
Then the prince said,
I could use a friend.
and then he immediately got shy, a bit afraid that Cinderella would turn away, but she did not. And they both agreed to be each other's friends. And then to Cinderella, her fairy godmother said,
Don't you, that you don't actually have to stay here. You can choose to leave.
At those words, Cinderella put on her boots and got on one of those dapple gray horses. The prince got on his black horse, and they rode to the apple farmer, where they joined the harvest for the day. At the end of the day, the prince rode home and asked his parents if he might be a farmer, not a prince, or at least a farmer prince or a prince farmer. If there was such a thing, he would like it very much. As soon as he left, the fairy godmother appeared to Cinderella, who had also worked hard at the apple harvest.
If you go down that direction and take a left, right next to the stable with 5 gray horses, you will find your very own cake shop. Next door, you might just find a neighbor you already know.
Why didn't you tell me I was free to go earlier?
I am here to help people who ask for help. You never asked for help until the night of the ball.
It is true that if you need or want help, it is really helpful to ask for it.
This can be a hard lesson to learn, that when you need help, we must sometimes ask for it rather than waiting for it or trying to go it alone. Let us sing a song that helps us remember this. It's number 402, From You I Receive. And you can stand up or stay seating, whichever is the most comfortable. And we're going to sing it 3 times.
Many months have passed. Nowadays, Perlita runs a hair salon where she piles up people's hair as high as it will go. She's happy because she's doing what she loves. Paloma is a seamstress at a dress shop where she makes dresses all day because she discovered she liked making beautiful dresses more than wearing them. They don't miss the days when they sat at home doing nothing and waiting for life to begin. They are good at what they do. There was a day, not so long ago, when Perlita and Paloma said to Cinderella,
We're sorry. We were wrong for how we treated you.
And we have made you these gifts.
We have come to make amends.
And to ask your forgiveness.
They brought Cinderella gifts. From Perlita, special cream for the tails of the horses Cinderella loved so much, and from Paloma, special riding breeches that have extra padding on the bottom for long horse rides. Having become their true selves and having made amends, they were now true friends as well. Cinderella's stepmother Cinderella's stepmother had also become her true self, though the story is not so happy. She turned into the roaring in the trees on stormy nights. Sometimes you hear her outside, a strong wind rattling the windows and shaking the leaves off the trees, saying more and more and more, and mine, 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 and then the hungry wind dies down, and she is gone until the next time. Sometimes the roaring inside your own heart and head, it's there, and then sometimes it dies down. The wind in our heads that says we need more. We need to grab what somebody else has and steal it away like the hungry wind. Everyone can be a fairy godmother if they help someone in need. Anyone can be a wicked stepmother. Most of us have some of that hunger in our hearts, but we can still try and be someone who always says, I have enough. Here, I have this to give. How are you?
I run a cake shop now. People come to eat cake and drink tea. I ask them what their dreams are and what they would be if they could be anything they wanted to be. I even ask them sometimes what it means to be free.
She listens and sometimes she helps. She makes sure that everyone in town has a birthday cake and goes to lots of birthday parties. Sometimes children running away from wars in other kingdoms come to town hungry and frightened and alone. Cinderella finds them, feeds them, puts them to bed in her attic until she finds homes for them and gets them started in school. And as she's gotten older, she has gotten good at understanding the wars in people's hearts and helping them leave those behind as well. She isn't a fairy godmother, but she doesn't need magic to be a liberator, to be someone who helps others figure out how to be free. Someday, she may get married, and so may the prince.
But not to each other.
And right now, we are both too young to get married.
So we don't have to worry about that part of our story.
And neither should you.
Can we have all of our characters come on up to the front? It is good and fine that they became friends and have remained so. Like all of her many other friends, the girl at the heart of this story, who no longer sleeps next to a fire that makes holes in her clothes, calls her by her true name, which you are all invited to do. From this point onward, they just call her
Ella.
Ella. The end.
Olympia has about to.
And as we extinguish our chalice and send you on your way,
here are the words of Reverend Teresa Saudo called Time for Work. May they keep you company and inspired until we meet again and well beyond, as we all do what is ours to do to grow liberation in ourselves and in the world. And here it is. I'm not prepared to hear you say one thing and watch you do another without even mentioning it. I'm not talking about mistakes. You know we all make those. Sometimes we speak too soon and think too little. We worry about procedures, then promises. We let fear and guilt keep our choices and actions small. Those things, common and human, keep calling us forward to different, better choices. I'm thinking of a different thing, in which you know the right thing to do and spend entire notebooks of calculations on figuring out how not to do it. Or, conversely, you give it no thought at all. It's understandable that to learn, the student must be ready. And if you choose not to be ready while the world cries out for help, choose to linger in indecision and shrug off the human cost, you are wasting the gentle flexibility of grace, and as Frederick Douglass said, using your liberty for unholy license. You must account for this day. Choose justice. You must account for your gifts. Generate love. Your effort in community is a precious resource. Take courage. Move with urgency toward every possibility. Please hurry. Don't stop.
and for our postlude, we are going to sing. Everyone, yes?
If you're comfortable, if you feel like you know it, and you want to join in, please do, yes.
And
And for sure, join in with the clapping. Like, you can count to 2, right? Okay. 1, 2.
And maybe we should stand. So I invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing one of my favorite postludes of all time, No Pressure.